All right.
Live.
Oops,
Oh,
sorry. Go go ahead.
live from the Spill Studios, located behind a liquor store off the I-35 interchange. It's time once again for a couple of cold ones with Corey and Carlisle.
Yes, once again, I know you just left us last week and it feels like no time has passed, but yet we are here again.
Again, baby.
Ah.
Oh, yeah.
So, how's your weekend?
Really good, actually. I had a really good weekend. It was one of those weekends. You know how you go into the weekend, you're like, oh, man, there's nothing going on this week, nothing interesting. It's going to be boring. And then everything just goes right the whole weekend.
Oh yeah.
It was one of those.
Oh man. So no complaints.
None. My wife went out of town yesterday, and I'm like, oh, man, I'm going to be alone all day. And as soon as I wake up, a buddy calls up and says, hey, you want to go to lunch? And then we get other calls. And next thing you know, I'm hanging out with my buddies and watching cool movies all day. And then we all go out to dinner and end up playing games until 3 in the morning. And it's like, dude, that's fucking awesome.
So I thought
And
you were gonna be like, my wife's out of town, and then all of a sudden you have the realization, oh wait a minute, my wife is out of town.
Oh, and then we
I'm
have the
free.
hangover weekend.
Yeah.
Except I don't have that wife. I have the really awesome wife who I miss when she's out of town. So she came back in town last night and we all hung out and it was great.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys out there saying, man, where do I get one of those?
It's really tough, but when you do, you just don't fuck it up. That's the rule. So yeah, but I got shown a movie that I want to talk about tonight, man.
Now, can you tell me what this movie is right now, or you want to wait?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, let me hear what this movie is.
Yeah, it's a movie called The Car. Have you ever seen it?
That's it? The Car?
The Car.
That must be a horror movie because it sounds intimidating already. The Car.
It is. It's a 1977 horror movie.
Oh, wait a minute. That was the movie. It was like Christine before Christine. I used to show that on TV all the time, man. And it was almost shown every year. And at the end of the movie, they had to like drive it off a cliff or something, or lure it off a cliff.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember that shit, man.
Dude, that movie kicks ass, actually. My buddy's like, dude, you got to watch it. And I'm like, give me one good reason to watch it. And he's like, James Brolin. And I'm like, all right, fine, I'll watch it. And it's about a bunch of cops out in the middle of the desert, and this car is running people down on the road, and some people believe it's evil, and some people think it's a driver. But the thing is that the movie itself is a ripoff of Jaws.
Like it's Jaws on wheels.
Yes, it is. Right down to some of the music where it sounds very Jaws-like. But they steal shots and conventions from Jaws, but in the best way possible. Like, you know how there's a lot of really cheesy Jaws knockoffs?
Oh, yeah.
This is a really good one.
Including sequels to Jaws. Jaws knocked off itself.
Jaws the Revenge, baby. But no, it's actually a really badass film with some really incredible character moments. One of the other characters is played by Ronnie Cox, who most of you will remember as the bad guy in RoboCop.
Ronnie Cox, and he was also the police chief in Beverly Hills Cop.
Yes, and he plays this deputy wrestling with alcoholism who's the best friend of James Brolin, and these two guys, along with their police department, are trying to stop this car. And it's just really fucking cool. I was really impressed with especially the cinematography in this thing. Like this was directed by the guy who made Cat Ballou.
The Western?
Yeah.
With Jane Fonda?
Yeah. And
shit.
Lee Marvin.
Yeah. Lee Marvin, was he the guy with the metal nose? Or the fake nose?
I can't. You know what?
Cat Ballou, some dude got his nose shot off, so he wore like a steel nose that was molded to look like a nose on his face.
I haven't seen Cat Ballou in a long time. I'm trying to remember.
I just remember that song, Cat Ballou. Okay, maybe I don't. Sorry, I just fucked that up. But the car, man.
It's a surprisingly good film. Me and my buddy were at Fry's yesterday. And he's like, dude, they've got the car and it's cheap. And I'm like, what the hell is the car? He's like, dude, we're watching this. And so we sat down, and I was really impressed. I mean, you'll laugh at some of the knockoff moments, and there's one or two character moments in there that is perfect 70s cheese that you'll just laugh out loud, and you're like, what the fuck was that about? But overall, it's one of those hidden gems that you just watch and go, wow, this is a really cool fucking movie. And it was exactly that type of thing that I was really happy to see, because I'd never heard of it before, never knew anything about it. And it's awesome all the way through.
Did they have a scene with the mechanic who was like Quint in Jaws. He's like scraping a chalkboard. And it's like, me and my fellow mechanics were hunted down by phantom cars years ago.
No, actually, I was impressed by the fact that of all the moments they steal from Jaws, and they steal a bunch of moments from Jaws, they don't steal the Quint character. Like, they steal all the really cool, like, it's just one of those things, like, halfway through the film, they're like, oh, hey, we're having the big parade, and no, we have to stop the parade. And it's like, wow, okay, so that's where they're going. And so, of course, you've got a scene in which all these kids are marching up a road, and the car menacingly shows up, and it's cool. It's
it sounds cool. It's like it's almost like before Christine there was the car.
The car. Yeah, and you would dig the hell out of it. This is your kind of a movie because it's got the kind of camp and cheese that you'll dig, but at the same time, it's got the just a lot of really cool, beautifully executed moments. It's a knockoff of Jaws made by somebody who knew how to properly make a good knockoff.
And they happen to do it with a car. Like, everybody's fucking around with fish. Somebody should have done it like with something else. It's okay to do a knockoff of Jaws, but it's going to look too much like Jaws if you use an aquatic animal. Like, I remember they had Orca. You remember Orca?
Oh, I remember Orca. Yeah,
with killer whale.
Yeah, with what's her name? 10. What's the name of that actress that was in 10?
Bo Derek?
Bo Derek, yeah.
She was in Orca?
Yeah.
Shit, Orca's real for some people now. You hear about all these whales that turn on people? Or well, maybe not all. I'm making it sound like it's an epidemic. We just recently had a killer whale like drown somebody at SeaWorld or something recently. And one of the things they referenced was, just like in Orca, could this have predicted the future?
Well, I have a buddy who has really bad luck with his blogging, and he will blog about a movie, and in the news that day or the day after will be something that ties in. And he reviewed Orca because he does a junk food cinema column, and he reviewed Orca, and his review went up 3 hours before the incident happened. So, but like in the car, like the film opens with these kids biking down the road, and all of a sudden we're looking out the windshield of the car as you hear a ripoff of the Jaws music as we're driving down the road.
You're talking about like the dun.
Yeah, but it's like da da da. Da, da, da.
Oh, they put that extra note in there. Kind of like...
Yeah, it's like, oh, come on, you're not fooling anybody. But you're looking from the inside of, and it's like the Jaws vision at the opening of Jaws, where it's like, where Jaws is swimming through all the kelp and seaweed underwater. It's kind of like that, where he's driving down the desert road, and you know what's going to happen. You would dig it, dude. It's your thing.
The only thing that would be better is if they cut to who's driving the car. It's an actual shark driving the fucking car.
That would be pretty fucking badass. It's land shark.
Yeah, Candygram. Yeah. Now you got me all nostalgic, man, because I used to come on TV all the time, every year. I even remember that people would like lie about the ending. Like I remember going to school in the car with Beyond the Night Before, and you go and you talk to your friends and be like, hey man, you see the car last night on TV? And people who didn't see it, they exaggerate. They'd be like, yeah man, it was like a devil car, and they ran it off a cliff, and at the end you could see Satan in the flames that erupted in the fireball, and it was like, that shit didn't happen. All right.
Actually, that does happen.
Do they show Satan in the fireball?
Yeah, it's kind of awesome, actually.
Are you serious?
I'm dead serious. See, you're having us ruin the end of this film. I'm telling everybody to go
watch. Jesus! Well, then maybe I really do remember the end of that movie. I thought it was always joked around.
No. Like the end of the film is so fucking epic. I mean, it's awesome. Like at one point, there's this gargantuan explosion. You kind of see Satan in the flames, and someone in the room was like, "Dude, Kiss was driving that car."
So when they see Satan in the flame, it's a guy that like it looks like a guy in a devil costume that's going to a costume party. It's like they rented the devil costume. Like, what does it look like?
It looks like flame in the shape of a guy, and it kind of flashes a bit with colors and makes it look like there's a dude, like the flame is the fucking devil. It's fucking awesome. I mean,
like they're Burning Man or something.
You're at Burning Man going, did I really just fucking see that?
Shit, how high was I as a kid? Maybe I was getting a contact high and thought I imagined the whole thing, but so that really did happen at the fucking end of the movie. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and it's the film goes on a little bit after that, but it's pretty fucking awesome. If you dig older films and you love watching like just weird fucking genre films, The Car is something you have to see. You've never quite seen anything like it. Like, you think it's kind of like Christine, but the story is told in a completely different way, and it's really cool.
Man, now you got me all hyped up. Now, I'm not going to get too excited because I do realize it's from the 70s. It's probably I'm sure it's very cheesy, and it's a ripoff of a popular movie of that time. So,
and Carlisle is telling you it's awesome, which is another reason for you to be a little nervous.
Well, I love those kind of bad old movies like that. You know me.
No, I'm seriously telling you, Corey, you need to see this because you will watch it and it will be one of your new favorite movies because it's exactly like the stuff you love watching, but there's such a level of quality to it that you're just like, wow, these shots are so fucking good. There's like this great shot where somebody screams at the car and the car goes to brake and the camera just focuses. It's like they've planted the camera right behind the back tire and we just watch the tire screech to a halt and then just kind of sit there for a second like it's thinking about whether or not it should run this guy down, and then watching the tire as it starts to roll back the other direction. And it's just a really cool shot. And the movie's filled with these really inventive shots, stuff that I haven't seen since. Like, this is its own thing. There's some stuff in here you've never really seen before.
I want them to come out with a prequel to this where you see Satan going to driver's education, getting his license to do this kind of shit.
Ooh, and we could have Josh Brolin play James Brolin's father.
There you go. See, now you were thinking, man.
Oh yeah.
I think we got a hit on our hands. Damn, now you got me all jazzed for this movie, man. Now you know my ultimate question is, can I stream it on Netflix?
You know what? I don't know. I haven't checked. I can look that up.
Man, please do, because if I can, I'm watching that shit tonight.
Yeah, I don't know. I know you can definitely find the DVD in stores. We found it at Fry's, and they had a number of them. So.
And if you can't get it on Netflix, they might as well get prepared for a writing campaign from me, because I want to see this shit, man. Wow, this sounds cool. Again, I'm keeping my expectations low, but I can't wait to see this shit.
You cannot stream it, but you can rent it.
Jesus, man. I can stream Munsterd, but I can't stream okay, whatever. All right, man. Well, hey, you sold me. I'm gonna get it. God damn it. Maybe I want to. Hey, I love collecting those kind of films. Perhaps I will go out and buy it because that's my thing. I collect bad movies.
Yeah. Well, this one isn't bad. This is actually good. I think. I mean, you'll love the cheesy premise about it, but it's just such a well-made hidden gem. It literally just surprised me. I'm watching it going, this movie has no right to be this good. It's about a killer fucking car tracking people down in the desert, and it's ripping off Jaws every chance it gets. Why is this movie this good? And it just is.
I see a little triple feature going on here. Co-host just got through making a review about The Wraith. You remember that movie?
Oh, The Wraith is great.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. No, that one's classic. That, in fact, yeah, The Wraith would be a great double feature with The Car. And what are you thinking is the third one?
Christine, of course.
Christine. Well, yeah, and Christine's a good one. If you guys out there in listener land haven't seen Christine, great John Carpenter adaptation of a Stephen King story.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's great. I maybe you'd like it.
I like it a lot. I think it's a great one.
I liked it okay, and I thought, in the context of some other car films, why not? It's fun. Get drunk and just don't drink and drive. That's it. So let's go ahead and get into
the top 5 brought to you by Spill.
I just lost the top 5. What the hell happened to it?
The top 5 brought to you by
All right,
Spill.
then. There we go. I have it up here. I just needed that little extra oomph that you gave me. Let's see. Damn.
You need that little extra push, Big Daddy?
I know. That sounds like prison rape.
Yeah. Take this top 5 and like it, bitch.
Okay. Oh, let's see now. Let's start out with number 5, which is... Well, actually, Dean, I'm sorry for stepping on your toes and your vocal cords.
5.
There you go. There you go. Proper now.
Proper.
Diary of a Wimpy Kid, which brought in this weekend an even $10 million, bringing its gross up to $35.8 million. This is its second week in release, second week in the top 5, and the movie cost $15 million to make, so very profitable for Fox Studios who released it.
Yep.
Which a lot of people think that it's a Nickelodeon film, and I can see why you would. It looks just like a Nickelodeon film, and it's even got kind of that budget, that safe budget that Nickelodeon films do, but it's not. I think a lot of people are beginning to realize these formulas of taking properties and just relying solely on the property and not spending the money on a lot of big name actors is paying off for them, and it certainly did in this case. I hear mixed things about the movie, but doing well. So anyway, want to go up to number 4?
Speaking of mixed things, number 4.
Oh, surely one to go on my worst of list for 2010 is The Bounty Hunter.
I told you it'd still be here.
Yeah, you did. Well, I didn't think it would be gone, but it did slip a little bit, drop 40%.
But only 40%.
Yeah.
Because it's the movie out there that women want to see. You know, it can't be that bad. You know, critics just hate just to hate.
No, we hate bad shit, and this is bad shit, you stupid women. It brought in $12.4 million this weekend, which brings its gross up to $38.8 million. The movie cost $40 million to make. Again, second week in release, so not doing bad. For a movie that was just severely panned by critics, not doing bad at all.
And it's going to more than make its money back with DVD and such. It's exactly what you'd expect out of this kind of a film that's targeted at the female market that just doesn't give a shit and just goes for it and makes its money. And they're going to keep making these until the end of time.
Hopefully not as bad. I mean, really, they went way and above and beyond to make this shitty. So, anyway, let's go up to a good movie.
Let's go up to, yeah, but let's go up to number 3.
Why so sad, Carlisle?
Because I love this movie with all my heart, and I wanted to see it do better.
And that movie is Hot Tub Time Machine.
Hot Tub Time Machine!
Yeah, it didn't do really great business. It brought in $13.7 million this weekend. The movie cost $36 million to make. Just a lot of people. Now, I'm just through trying to second guess what the box office is like. A lot of people thought that they didn't market this movie too well, that the movie had a lot of 80s niche things in there which could appeal to people's either memory of the 80s or people who find retro stuff like that funny. They didn't really do it. And I looked at some of the ads, and I saw one trailer where it was kind of confusing. It was kind of creative, but not really helping the movie out too well. I don't know if that's it or not, but it maybe the title threw people off. I don't know, but it is a very funny movie. I like this movie a lot. I love this movie.
I love this movie a lot too. In fact, there's a very good chance it may end up being one of my favorite films of the year. I adore it. You know what I kept hearing from people, and I kept trying to tell people, look, it's really good. You got to go see it. And they're like, I don't know, man. I really hated The Wedding Singer, and I'm really tired of these 80s jokes. It's over and done with. And I'm like, dude, what you're seeing is one scene of the movie. The entire movie is not a string of 80s jokes. It's actually a really clever geek comedy about time travel films. And they were like, I don't know. I think I've seen one Rubik's Cube joke too many. And
not one Rubik's Cube joke in that movie.
No, there's that one scene. They walk into the ski lodge and they're like, oh my God, Jerry curl. Oh my God, leg warmers. Oh my God, Kanye glasses. And then all of a sudden they're like, holy crap, we're in the 80s. And then everybody is 80s appropriate to the rest of the movie, but there are no more 80s jokes. There's a few slight little moments in there that about the 80s mentality, but it's not a series of, hey, do you remember this? Hey, do you remember this?
Yeah, I think they should have pitched this movie as something along the lines of the Hangover. I mean, because really, it's that kind of comedy. I would even say like it kind of trumps that comedy a little bit. Where I was like, whoa, man, they did that. Even as nasty as the Hangover was, they should have tried to cut a trailer that really just rolled off the success of the Hangover, and they didn't.
there's a great rated R sequence in there that just totally makes fun of Back to the Future, but in the best way possible. I about fell out of my chair when it happened. And,
no, it's really a clever film in how they reference the 80s. They don't go to everything. I mean, yeah, there's a Michael Jackson joke there, but it's very funny. I mean, it works, and it's not even an 80s film really. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of 80s references in there because they're in that decade, but it's really just it's a sex comedy too, and it's a sex comedy that really relies maybe too much on people knowing something about the 80s, but movies from the 80s like Hot Dog, the motion picture, but it's still, I mean, what kid doesn't like to see, boobs? What kid doesn't like potty humor, even especially when it's done clever like this? So I don't know, man.
Rob Corddry has never been as funny as he is in this movie.
That's who I feel the worst for, man, because this guy's been trying to get off the ground with a movie like this for a long time, and I thought this would be the one for him.
Yeah.
He's the best thing in the film.
Well, I don't know.
Maybe not the best thing, but really, he's the highlight. He carries the film.
I think it's a great ensemble comedy because Craig Robinson is great in the film. Luke or Clark Duke is brilliant in the film as the young kid. And I love how they bring in why am I blanking on his name all of a sudden? John Cusack to be kind of the straight man.
Yeah.
And let him be the straight man to all these great comedians. And the movie's just hilarious.
They all work so well together, man. Yeah, I'm kind of sad to see it not do as well as it did either. I mean, I kind of maybe expected a little bit because it was such a quirky title. I hate using that word quirky. I apologize, people, but it was. And
no, it is quirky.
Yeah, and I don't know. I just hate that word. But yeah, I wish it had done better, man.
Let's cross our fingers and hope that this has legs, because this might be one of those word of mouth movies where everybody goes to work tomorrow and then goes, "Oh man, it's a Hot Tub Time Machine this weekend. It's so funny. It's better than The Hangover." You're like, really? I didn't think it would be that good. Okay, I'll go check it out. And next weekend, the people who are like, you know what, we can't get into Clash of the Titans, or I really don't want to see Clash of the Titans, they'll go and see this, and maybe this will carry for a few weeks.
Yeah, I hope so. And I will say this in our review, the more I think about it now, the more I'm thinking, yeah, it probably was the way they pitched this movie, because a lot of people were saying, well, until you guys said something, I was thinking this movie was stupid and I wasn't going to go see it. I could have swore you guys were going to slam this film, and they were surprised to hear that we loved it. So
yeah, did all four of us love it?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes,
awesome.
Yes, and even the co-host loved it. Well, especially the co-host. There's boobs in there. So let's move to number 2.
The number 2 film
is Alice in Wonderland. 4
Still
weeks.
There.
Yes, number 2. 4 weeks in the top 5, and in the span of 4 weeks, this money has grossed $293 million. It brought in 17.3 this weekend, and the movie cost $200 million to make. So, hey, put those two guys together, Johnny Depp. And what's that other guy? That emo?
Tim Burton.
Tim Burton. That's the guy. That's the goth guy I'm thinking of. You put those guys together, and they just make magic. So, sure, it's dark magic, but it's magic.
Yeah, but isn't this the best they've gotten out of this? I think this has, as much as it has to do with both of them, I think it also has to do with the fact that it's Alice in Wonderland and produced by Disney. I think it's all four of those elements together.
I agree with you totally that people still love Alice in Wonderland. I mean, that thing. People love that story. They just love the surrealism of it. And Disney just knows how to pitch shit, and Disney just has a name. So yeah, you're exactly right.
And this movie's made almost $300 million domestically already.
Yeah, 4 weeks, man. In a span of 4 weeks. God damn.
Remember when people were saying this was going to bomb?
They were?
Yeah, they were. And people thought they're like, well, it'll do all right, but it's not going to do really well. It's going to be here for 1 week and then gone.
I think that 1 weekend, people are crazy. I think of a review came out from Variety or Hollywood Reporter, and they kind of bashed the film, and so I guess people are kind of basing it on that. No, the movie. No,
I talk to people, and I think about that every time I see $656 million worldwide, and I'm just like, dude, if you do fantasy well and you make it entertaining, and this is entertaining, you're gonna make a lot of money. And
yeah, well, as you know, I wasn't crazy about the movie. The movie kind of angered me in some parts, but hey, you know what?
Well, aside from the dance, did anything else anger you?
Yeah, I just thought it was a little too frantic, but I love the visuals in it, and I think the 3D worked for it pretty well. So I see why people love it. Hey, look, regardless of what I think, regardless of what anybody else thinks, Tim Burton, that's a rich gothic motherfucker. So good for him. And let's see, you want to go to number one?
The number one film.
How to Train Your Dragon.
Indeed.
$43.3 million this weekend with a budget of $165 million. I mean, I think it'll do all right on DVD. All these movies will do all right on DVD that we've mentioned. Seldom, I think there's seldom any movie that does not do okay on DVD if they push it hard enough. But this movie did well, didn't do as good as another animated film from the same company released about this time last year, which was, do you remember what that was?
That was Monsters versus Aliens.
Monsters vs. Aliens. I think that made about $10 million more, probably like $16 million more.
And was
like
half
that.
the film this was.
So did you see it?
I was there with you guys seeing it. I was sitting right behind you.
Oh, I didn't notice. I didn't see you.
I wondered why. When I talked to you later in the week, I'm like, oh, hey, when are we recording for that? And like, we already saw it. We already recorded. I'm like, oh, you should have said, hey, we're recording today.
I didn't know where you were, because I guess maybe you're usually sitting up front or something. I don't know how I missed you, but anyway, maybe it's because South by Southwest was going on. I kind of came in at the last.
You came in late.
Yeah, so I don't know what's going on.
You walked right by me.
About that.
I could have kicked you in the head.
And you could have killed me, and I wouldn't have known who did it.
Fucking ninjas, man.
Wow.
Ninjas.
You could have chopped my head off and pointed at my dying fucking body and then showed me your face before I drifted off into the void.
I have finally gotten you, Corey Coleman.
And then I'd say, can you at least turn me around so I can catch at least the first 10 minutes of the movie before I die? Can you grant me that last wish? But no, I like the movie. Yeah, and I do think this is a better movie than Monsters vs. Aliens. And even though it didn't do as well, I don't know why. But they say they don't expect this to get pushed out of the theater by more 3D stuff coming up, which is Clash of the Titans. So even DreamWorks, they're kind of remaining hopeful that this will have legs. But who knows? We'll see. And that is coming out next week, Clash of the Titans.
Yeah, that's one of the things a lot of people are worried about. This movie needed to kick ass its first weekend to convince theater owners to keep screens with it, because they're going to be moving the 3D prints out or moving them over to other theaters so that they can show Clash of the Titans in 3D.
And they claim that they're not being pushed, so that's what DreamWorks says.
But I'm hearing from other places that they are, so I'm really curious to see what's going to happen.
Yeah, so, well, overall, this weekend, around the same time as last year, not as much money. It was a little bit of a percentage drop. But got some big movies coming up, especially since the time between spring movies and summer movies, is that gap is closing now. I don't think anybody's thinking like, oh, we need to release a big movie this time of the year. I think it's just spontaneous now. Hey, if the time is right, we got a big film and there's nothing going up against it, let's release the movie now.
Yeah.
So, but... Now,
so you liked the film, but you didn't love it?
What? How to Train Your Dragon?
Yeah,
I liked it a lot. I did. The only thing I didn't like about it is that I don't think a lot of the side characters or your supporting characters were very strong. I mean, I've seen a lot of movies where you remember the supporting characters as well as sometimes might remember them more than the main characters. And here, I thought that they just had a look, and they acted like their look required them to act like you had the twins who were a bickering boy and girl. You had like the fat guy who was the nerdy guy. You had kind of like the stocky kid who was the jock. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, and they're all the thing that weirded me out was that they're all voiced by the youngest of the Apatow kids.
Yeah.
And,
Kristen Wiig was like one of them, and then
because and America Ferrara was the other, the two girls, but all the guys are it's McLovin and it's
Jonah Hill.
It's Jonah Hill and it's Jay Baruchel.
Yeah.
It's like, apparently in this Viking culture. You start out sounding like an Apatow kid, and you grow up into a Scotsman. I guess that's how it works. Is that once you hit puberty, you get your Scottish accent? It's like, "Ach, laddie, now you've grown pubes. Here's your accent." Because the rest of the film, we're all talking like this. But our dad is from 300 because this is Sparta.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I know why they did it. I mean, they did it because they like for the kids to relate to something that sounds like them. and of course the older the grown-ups had to like play the true Viking roles. So it was all a marketing
So
thing.
they're Scotsmen.
But man, people do that all the time. I
No,
mean,
I'm aware of that,
yeah.
and I get that. But I mean, it's like, come on, Vikings are Nordic, not Scottish, and it's fine if you're going to get a couple Scottish actors to play it. That's fine, but at least give us a reason why the kids don't sound like mom and dad.
I know,
It's just a little goofy, but that's not why I don't think the film is perfect.
Well, they made him Scottish because they could get what's his name, Gerard Butler, and they could get Craig Ferguson, and it was cheaper than probably some other Nordic person that they found. So
Stellan Skarsgård, really?
Nobody knows him these days. People know Gerard Butler, and people know Craig Ferguson more than they know Stellan Skarsgård.
No, I'm well aware of that. But I mean, if you need a good voice actor who can do, have the Nordic sound, you kind of go Stellan Skarsgård. He was kind of in those pirate movies.
Yeah. No, I know. I just say, you know what? Chalk it up to the stupidity, the ever increasing stupidity of the young these days. I mean, it's the movies, man. They teaching them all the wrong kind of history now.
Well, the problem I really had with the movie is I wasn't in love with the ending. I wanted something with a little more resonance, with a little more pathos to it.
The climax of the film, I didn't like either. It was there wasn't a real villain there, and the climax seemed a little tacked on to me.
Yeah, and it's a boy and his dog story, and it doesn't feel like a proper boy and his dog story by the time you get to the end of it.
Yeah, no, I know. Movies are really corrupting kids' minds. I mean, they're teaching them that the Mad Hatter breakdancers, and now Vikings talk with a Scottish accent. These kids are gonna be fucked, man. Coming up today, all because of the movies. But yeah, I did like the movie though. I think you and I have some of the same complaints. I still enjoyed the film. I think that the 3D it was great in the film, and I think that when you watch it at something like IMAX, you are really getting your money's worth with that. Now, somebody brought up something that I didn't even think about, and I should have thought about this when I was doing the review, which is, what's the movie going to be like without the 3D?
The 3D didn't have a big effect on me. This is one of those films that I felt didn't need to be in 3D, because I mean, we've already seen dragons flying in 3D, and it's already been awesome. So why are you going to do it again and not do it half as awesome as we saw it the last time?
Oh, by the way, people are claiming, I'm not shitting you here, people are claiming that this is the highest opening for a dragon movie ever.
It might be.
I mean, no, it
Reign
is.
of Fire and Beowulf didn't do well, but
no, it is. It is. I love the way people are just going and getting those fine details now. The highest grossing movie for a dragon movie, the highest opening for a dragon movie ever. I felt like, wow, I didn't even think about dragon movies as like in their opening day weekends. I think that was a big genre to think about.
Until The Hobbit.
Yes.
Yes, at which point we will completely destroy any dragon records for all time.
Because, well, now...
Smaug, baby.
I was about to say, does The Hobbit technically count as a dragon movie? We have a major dragon in there, but is that a dragon film?
Well, I mean...
Smaug comes in near the third act.
Yeah, well, it depends on how they structure it. I mean, we'll see how they end up structuring the films, and we'll see if it ends up happening. I mean, they're having problems right now. Have you heard about this?
Are they still having problems with that movie now?
Well, it turns out the stalling that's been happening, the reason why it keeps having all these false starts is because MGM, which is bankrupt, has they have the distribution rights for the film, and that was what's been holding up the film for so long. We're supposed to... Technically, we could have had it a long time ago, but MGM still has the rights from the time that they acquired the rights for The Hobbit for their the animated film.
So this is the old argument that's still been going on for a while. I mean, this has been going on for years.
Yeah, but that got solved, and they finally worked it out. Everybody exchanged big boxes of money, and they're like, "All right, let's go." And then one of the companies that fought so long and hard for it went, "Oh, you know what? Let me put it in very human terms for you. Imagine the four of us guys are sitting around one night. We decide we want to go out to dinner, and we can't go until we all decide. because we're all part of this. And I want Chinese, and you want buffet, and Cyrus wants Italian, and we fight and we bicker, and the last holdout is Leon, and Leon's like, no, dude,
I want ribs.
I want ribs, and I want fried chicken, and we're gonna get both. And we all bicker and we argue, and we're like, all right, fine, dude, we'll go to this place. We're all agreed we're going to go to a place that has ribs. It'll be awesome. And then we walk out the door, and Leon says, oh, and by the way, can somebody spot me $20 because I'm broke?
But that happens all the time.
Yes, but that's what just happened with MGM, because they fought and they fought and they fought, and then they went bankrupt, and they're like, oh, hey, yeah, now we don't have money to distribute the film that we fought so hard to get the rights to distribute. So the movie looks like it might be fucked.
Oh, well. Well, it'll get out there. I mean, they always say they have these problems, and they end up working it out. They got so much invested in it now. I have no doubt that it won't get worked out. But
oh, no, it'll get worked out.
Yeah.
But the thing is that this is turning into one of the selling points for buying MGM, is that if you buy MGM, you're buying into The Hobbit.
Mm-hmm.
And so now companies that are bidding for it are bidding for it on that reason. But like apparently Lionsgate had to back out, so now nobody is definitely going to buy the studio. It's a weird up in the air, complicated thing. But that's what's apparently holding up The Hobbit right now, is that they can't come up with their end of the money.
Gotcha. Well, let's hope that they get it worked out soon, because that is actually my favorite book more than any of the Lord of the Rings books. I love The Hobbit. Or the alternative title, There and Back Again. I love that. I love that story. I love that cartoon, man. The Greatest Adventure. I love all that shit, man.
Yes, you do.
I do. I love it. But hey, you know what? I don't know if I should even bring this up, because I know you love Kevin Smith, and
bring it up, baby.
And people know that I'm not crazy about Kevin Smith, but I have no bias against him for what he did. This whole thing about the tweets going on where he says critics are not going to be allowed to his movies anymore because he's tired of critics bashing his films.
Well, that's not exactly what he said. He said they shouldn't. He said if he had control over it, he would only invite people who weren't critics.
Well, no, he's saying critics are not allowed to his movies. Now, he might be saying this in a little bit of
the thing is that people were extrapolating it from his tweets and trying to reassemble it and trying to make it make sense. And in doing that, it became something of babelfish poetry. There were things he was accused of saying that he was actually quoting from other people so that everyone else following the thread could read it. No, he was talking about wanting to do that, but he didn't say, look, no critics are ever going to be allowed at my screenings again.
Yeah, let me see. Because I know there was links taken from it where he was just kind of like, hey, how about this? You're not going. Yeah, you're not. How about this? Critics are not allowed to my movies anymore. If you wanted to see that movie and bash it, you had to pay for it. And I was like, okay.
I mean, you have to keep in mind, first of all, this is a Twitter tirade. He's being bitter. He's gotten beaten up, and he hasn't been beaten up like this in a long time. And he's really happy about this movie. He had a lot of fun making this movie. It was a movie that he really got behind. He thought everyone would get behind, and nobody got behind. So he did what he did. It's really one of those things. I ended up writing a piece over on Hollywood.com this week about it, because he really needs to have his Twitter account and blog taken away.
Yeah, some people say we can't follow this dude because he's just twittering so much.
Oh God, he's a Twitter twat, which is the phrase for somebody who breaks one of the 10 cardinal rules of tweeting, and one of those rules is you try not to go over 10 tweets a day, and the guy goes 10 tweets an hour easily, and he just spills out, and he's somebody who needs to have it taken away because he keeps doing stupid shit and talking about things that are making him a target and a joke, and he's alienating his audience.
Yeah. Okay, here's what he said. He's like, fine, pay like you would if you saw it next week. Like, why am I giving an arbitrary 500 people power over what I do at all, let alone for free? Next flick, I'd rather pick 500 randoms from Twitter feed and let them see it for free in advance than post their opinions, good and bad, same difference. Why is their opinion more valid? So, it's
yeah,
like,
he's not saying no one's going to be allowed. He said, I'd rather do this. He doesn't actually get a choice.
No, I know he doesn't get a choice, and that's the thing I was thinking. I was thinking he was going on a tirade, and at the time he's saying, you know what, you can't come to the movie. I'm like, yeah, well, you don't decide that if people come to see your movie or not. They put it out there for critics. That's not your choice.
Well, and several people pointed out, they're like, dude, they already do that. It's called a word of mouth screening, and they don't allow the press. And hey, some of us press didn't get a chance to see the movie. They didn't show it here in Austin.
No, and hey, you know what? That's the thing. I paid to see the movie, so I did what you liked, and guess what? I paid my money, and why would I want to pay my money and criticize your film? I think what's happening with Kevin Smith is that, is exactly what you said is what I was thinking, that he's been a critic's darling for a long time, and this is where you and I are going to disagree, but I think that a lot of critics are now beginning to think like, wow, you know what? His last few movies have not been all that great. I'm going to think this guy can only make a certain kind of film, and when he gets out of that doesn't even go well. And I'm starting to criticize this movie. He's a little harsher than I did before, and he's feeling a little vulnerable right now, and not catered to like he was before, and he's throwing a fit.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. In fact, what I loved about Clerks 2 was Clerks 2, it felt like he was saying, look, I'm never going to be that big time director. I'm always going to be the small guy who makes small guys from small movies about Jersey and about my friends and about what it was like growing up. And there's nothing wrong with that. And that's kind of the theme of that movie. That movie is all about that you don't have to achieve really great things. You just need to find what makes you happy. And that's what Clerks 2 was entirely about. And it seemed that that's what he had found for himself, is that that's what makes him happy, but it wasn't. And so he went off to make his big buddy cop movie, and it stunk. And nobody got behind him. And I guess it's doubly frustrating for him because he's fallen into the Michael Bay trap. Because that's exactly what this is. This is the same thing, same tirade Michael Bay went on back with Pearl Harbor. Because this is one of those things where he's like, wait, this is the most successful movie I've ever made. Yeah. I've made more money off this movie than any of my little films that the critics loved. Why the fuck am I listening to them and making films for them? And to a certain extent, he's right. He should not be making films for critical praise. He should be making them for the audiences that pay for them and enjoy them. At the same time, if the critics almost universally bag on your film, there's a good chance you haven't made a really good film.
Well, that's my whole thing with him is like, look, instead of getting upset about it, because, yeah, it is I mean, as of last week, I don't know what it is this week. As of last week, the movie was up like 43 million or something like that. And at that time when he wrote that tweet, it's like, okay, this is your most successful film right now, as financially at least. So the thing you can do is just be quiet. I mean, you made money for the studio. You made some money for the studios. They'll let you make another film because, well, you have a growing track record financial of films that are probably making more money as you move along. And but as far as like people criticizing the film, if you are hurt that much by critics, you know what? Make a better fucking film. I have nothing against the kind of humor he does. I've seen it done better. Hey, Hangover. We just got through talking about Hot Tub Time Machine. I think that it's sex, raunchiness, poop jokes, all that stuff. Childish humor is done more clever in all those films that I've ever seen it done in Kevin Smith movie.
Yeah, but Kevin Smith also kind of paved the way for making that acceptable by critics. There was a point in time when that stuff was where his humor was considered vulgar. I mean, remember when Clerks 2 came out, Joel Siegel walked out and yelling, saying, I've never walked out in a movie in 30 years, but I'm walking out of this one. This is just too vulgar. And we're at a time where all of those critics have kind of passed away or retired or moving on in their careers, and the critics we have now have grown up with Kevin Smith movies, and you need to be raunchier to make us react. Like in Hot Tub Time Machine, there's an orgasm joke that is really fucking funny, but it never would have flown in the 90s. Like it's literally one of those visual gags that would have possibly gotten the film NC-17, and we would have seen it on a deleted scene later in its DVD life. But here they were able to do it because of the various things that they can get away with. Look at that still at the end of The Hangover. last
No,
year.
I know, and I was wondering how the hell did they get away with that shit?
Yeah, we all did. We're like, what the fuck? But that's where we are now. And we, the critics, weren't offended by that. Critics didn't walk away going, you know what? I was with this film, but it just got too vulgar there at the end. No, people were like, look, it's a vulgar comedy. Either you like it or you don't. Shut the fuck
Well,
up.
we've all grown up on different just things. Even watching HBO movies again. So watching some stuff like Hot Dog the movie, Bachelor Party. I mean, we've all grown up with a lot of raunchy stuff, and we've grown up with a lot of raunchy comedians, and our sensibilities are just not as high strung as some of the older critics. So it's just a different generation gap. I don't know. I think Kevin Smith has been a part of that. I don't know if he's helped it, but I know his humor has been a part of like all of our humor growing up and being desensitized to certain things. Like I said, a lot of people think that I have something against Kevin Smith because of the type of humor that he does. It's like, no, I love all that kind of stuff. I always talk about fart jokes. I love a fart joke if I think it's done right and not just done because, hey, I want to shock you or it's a funny sound. You understand what I'm saying?
I understand exactly what you're saying.
What place did Cop Out come this week? I don't even see it anywhere.
I don't think it made the top 10.
Oh well.
No, it sure didn't.
Oh well. Well, anyway, man, let's see how much time we have here. Okay, you want to get into some tweets and mail?
Yeah, I do, but now you got me really curious. And
What? What you curious about?
About where the hell Cop Out is.
I'm trying to find it too. I can't see it on anything.
Has it been pulled from theaters already?
No, it can't be. No. There's some. What are you looking on?
Box Office Mojo.
They made a mistake. I'm sure they do this all the time. Some movie will be missing. It's supposed to be in there somewhere. I know it is. It's not pulled from theaters. I mean, the movie's still making a little bit of change. I don't know what happened to it, but that's a slip up somewhere. That movie's supposed to be in there. I guarantee it.
Yeah, it's only been out a month.
Yeah. No. I mean, goddamn, the Wolfman is still in there. That movie certainly is.
Oh no, where is it?
Yeah, I was looking for it too. I'm curious too. I can't find it. I can guarantee you, if you go to another site that lists off the top 10, or maybe not the top 10, if they can list off the top 20, it'll be in there because it's probably still in the top 10. I don't know.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Oh well, whatever. So what you got?
Oh wait, there it goes. Let's see here. It made. Oh wow, yeah, it made. No, wait.
Shit, that movie's fucking us all up, man.
Actually, you know what? It's showing that it's not. It doesn't have any record for this weekend. Maybe it got pulled from theaters on the 25th on Thursday.
Why would they pull that? Okay, all right, well, whatever.
I don't know, but it was making. I guess maybe because it only made. It looks like it only made like not even $2 million last weekend.
Weird. Oh well.
Made 1.4 million.
Damn, that dude can't catch a break. I've been bragging about this trailer, man. What about that Scott Pilgrim trailer?
I thought it was cool. I've never read Scott Pilgrim. Every time people tell me how awesome it is, I look at it and I start flipping through it. I'm like, this looks fucking dull as shit.
Yes, that's what I thought too. Somebody gave me a couple of the books and I was reading them like, what's the big deal with this? And they told me what happens later. Apparently, you got to get through a lot of emo shit to get to the good stuff. But that trailer, I think, looks amazing.
It looks cool. I have faith in Edgar Wright. I believe that if Edgar Wright made it, it's going to kick ass. And people love Scott Pilgrim. They're really into it. So I'm like, all right, I'll give it a shot. But it looks like hipster Street Fighter.
Yeah, and I think that's what's funny about it. I mean, I'm not the craziest. I'm a person who's not. I'm not that crazy about hipsters, but I think if you combine two funny things, street fighting and especially sort of like emo hipsters, I'm like, yeah, that's hilarious to me, man. But I don't know. We'll see what it's like. I just think I'm looking at it and I'm like, wow, this is capturing that feeling of anime and video games, especially street fighting games, more than Chun-Li, the Street Fighter: The Legend of Chun-Li, or Speed Racer ever did. So,
but will it make an entertaining movie? That's what I'm wondering.
Well, like I say, you just have to see the film. They put the trailer out there. I think the trailer's cool. Movie could be piece of shit. I don't know. Could be great.
People dug the trailer. I mean, I liked it, but it was one of those things where I liked it while I was watching it, and then afterwards I'm like, how the hell are you going to make that work for 2 hours? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I've got my fingers crossed, and I'm going to see it as soon as I can because I love Edgar Wright. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Shaun of the Dead and of Hot Fuzz. So this is his third film, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, and I have to say, I don't think the movie's going to be like a Marmaduke, anything like that.
Oh, fuck! That trailer killed me.
Marmaduke. Oh man.
My wife walked in while I was watching that trailer today, and she just looked at me and she's like, "You know what I needed in my life? Another Owen Wilson dog movie." And I'm like, "Well, there you go." It looks terrible.
No, it does. Marmaduke doesn't even fucking talk in the movies, man. I mean, in the comics. In the comics, yeah. What?
Yeah, well, but they look at this and they're like, how do we make a Marmaduke movie? We own the property, we can't do it. And then they saw Beverly Hills Chihuahua and saw how much money that made and said, hey, let's make an even more retarded version of Beverly Hills Chihuahua. And then, well, we can do that.
Well, I don't know, man. I don't know who's taking the hit for that. I might be dogged out by the time that comes around. I don't know.
I think I'm already dogged out.
But anyway, man, so what you got?
Let's see here. What is the worst theater experience you've ever had? That's from Remy Core.
The worst?
Yeah, i.e. crying baby or loud patrons.
Let me think about that. Do you have one?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, in fact, you remember mine. It was at Constantine. We had a screening for Constantine, and there was a row of people behind us. It was a black family, and they were talking through the whole first 5 minutes. They're just having conversations. And I keep turning around, and I'm like, shh, can you please be quiet? And you guys are like looking at me like, what are you doing? And at some point they're just they will not be quiet. And I turn around and I'm like, will y'all shut the fuck up, please? And the little girl goes, why don't you shut the fuck up? And then
and that little girl was 9.
Yes, she was. And the audience kind of laughs at her saying it, but then the family's like, all right, we should be quiet. But you guys were just like, I can't believe you did that. You're gonna get your ass whooped.
No, actually, I was. I mean, you know what? I'm always on the side of somebody who's like telling somebody shut the fuck up. Hey,
yeah, but you guys bolted from me afterwards because you honestly thought I was gonna get my ass beat. You wanted no part of it.
No, I didn't think so. I would have defended you because I'm like, hey, I'm always on the back of somebody. I'm always got the back of somebody.
Leon specifically said, "I love you, brother, but I'm out of here."
Didn't see? I would never heard that.
Oh yeah, it was funny, and they didn't do anything because after that they were quiet the rest of the movie. But
actually, to be honest with you,
there's a lot of setup during Constantine.
Oh yeah,
and they were talking all the way through it.
And I don't even think I heard what was going on. I think they heard you. I don't know what I heard. I don't think I was even listening at the time because I think you were sitting a few seats down from me, and I was just like, it's funny how if you're in the immediate area, sometimes you can hear that stuff, and if you're a few rows down, you don't hear it. I mean, you hear people talking, but I probably didn't hear you like shush them or put them in the place. So I don't know.
So what's yours? You remember? You have one?
Yeah, I do. King Kong. We're watching King Kong, and this woman. Actually, I've had a lot of bad experiences that go around the same lines. Films breaking and not getting fixed are taking a long time to get fixed. I mean, the movies themselves give me bad experiences sometimes. But as far as people who just don't give a shit, the one that I most recently remember where they just let their kid play, where nobody said anything about it, was at King Kong. This woman had 2 little girls. One little girl was playing in the movie. She let her get up and just walk around, and finally the girl started getting scared, and I just got fed up, and and it was near the end of the movie anyway, and I just like, look, why don't you just take her home at this point? She's like, she's only 2, and I was like, yeah, she shouldn't fucking be in here, that's why. And so it was like, I really get fed up with people and their kids, and maybe not the kids, but I get fed up with the parents who just don't have any regard at all for the people around them, who think that people they've become so used to their kids that they become desensitized to them, or they think people think their kids are just as cute. That's what really annoys me, when a kid is being annoying and the parent turns to you and smiles. Like I'm supposed to deal with that shit. And she was kind of that parent who thought like her kid was cute. Oh, let's let her dance in the front row, because who's gonna hate a 2-year-old? No, I'm not. I'm gonna hate your fucking bitch mom, though. That's just me.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the problems with parents. Once you kind of cross that parent threshold, you become inured to a lot of what your children do. and don't realize how obnoxious they are. Now, some parents are really mindful of that, and I love a parent who will keep their kid in line and will immediately, as soon as they do that, turn and first thing they'll do is discipline their kid, and then they turn and look at you and they're like, "I'm really sorry. I really apologize." And like at that point, it's like, okay, that's cool. That's a parent who realizes what's going on. And if their kid keeps acting up, they take them out. But those parents that don't, oh my God.
Yeah, no, I don't mean to let people know that it's all parents. I saw somebody do that one time with their kids. They let them dance, and I think we mentioned this before. I don't know if you were there, but the whole theater, it was one of the worst experiences that turned into a great experience. The whole theater, when you remember, Marge at the Chronicle.
Oh yeah.
She, after the crowd was just tired and you could hear people just loudly all around like, "Shh, Stella said," and these parents didn't do anything about it. Marsh just yelled out, "Take the baby out. They shouldn't be here anyway. We're trying to watch a movie." And the whole theater, for some reason, started applauding. I don't know how it started, but they all clapped. And
yeah, I remember that.
Oh, you mean the guy got up and that's the other thing that was annoying. I mean, everybody else was wrong. He made it known to everybody. He yelled loudly, "Honey, let's get out of here. I don't want to sit in here with a bunch of assholes." And they walked out to the back exit.
And we were like, "Don't let the door hit you with good Lord split you."
Yeah, I was like, "You got some
fuck out."
Exactly. You got some fucking nerve. Oh, we're the assholes. We're the ones being quiet trying to watch a movie. Don't want to deal with you.
They don't understand what that kids act like this, and we deserve a night out because we shouldn't have to stay at home just because we decided to spawn. Yeah, you fucking do. If you have kids, leave them home. Pay for a fucking sitter. It's a free fucking movie. Chip in for the sitter. Spare the rest of us.
Yeah. No,
I think one of the other worst ones I ever had was Wrong. Remember the screening for Wrong Turn, and that 5-year-old boy sitting behind us that kept freaking out, like, "Mommy, why are they cutting his head off?"
Oh, yeah, I do.
You and I were just like, what the fuck? Why would you bring a 5-year-old to a fucking movie? In fact, I think you actually, if I remember correctly, you actually said something at that point. I think you were the one that spoke up, like, why would you bring a 5-year-old boy to this movie?
I probably did. I mean, I've gone crazy on people just for crinkling their like bag of potato chips. I remember at Lord of the Rings, it was one of those press screenings where all of a sudden 1 million people come out. Like you see about 5 or 6 critics for every screening, but when you get an event film, it's 50 people in the theater all of a sudden.
Oh yeah, a Christmas critic screening. Yeah.
Yeah. And this guy was trying to open up a bag of chips, and I kind of respect him for trying to be quiet, but the more quiet he's trying to be, the longer it was taking him to open that bag of chips. And Leon was sitting next to me. He just started laughing because I sat there just cringing every time that bag said, and finally, after 10 minutes, I turned to the guy and said, "Will you just open it already?" And the guy, I don't even think he ate the chips after that. I think he just threw the whole fucking bag away.
Why would you bring chips into a fucking movie, especially one like Lord of the Rings?
I'm wondering. I mean, I think he bought. It might have been a package of candy or something. Why at a theater? You know that shit is annoying. Why don't they start making packages soundproof for theaters? I know it may be a little bit easier said than done, but you gotta know that's annoying.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's see what I got here. I might have you read another one of yours because I'm still looking for a good question. Let's see. Oh, here's one.
All right.
And I know this is a good one. Have you ever seen any movies where subtitles were so necessary, even though everyone spoke in English?
Well, I think you're talking about Guy Ritchie films.
No, that was kind of as a joke. I'm talking about like really, there's a heavy Irish or Scottish accent, and sometimes you need subtitles for when people are talking.
Yeah, like a Guy Ritchie film.
Oh, for any guy, okay. Like not even the Brad Pitt and Snatch. You're talking about for anything.
Well, God, I mean, at least Brad Pitt, you can kind of understand Brad Pitt. Remember the characters in Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels?
Yeah.
With the bit of Fuji, but the bit of the milk. What? What was it? Normally I listen to. Well, I mean, that's not Cockney. That's super Cockney.
Yeah. Who is it? Super Cockneyed.
Super Cockney.
Boy, mate, how they doing? If I saw the place and fall for price, half price. No,
Yeah.
I know I've seen some movies. I think when I saw Angela's Ashes, I can't remember if that's the movie. I have seen a movie where I thought like, okay, there's some parts in here where I cannot understand what they're saying, and I usually pride myself on being able to understand accents. I'm not talking about a different language. I'm just talking about accents. But I think it was Angela's Ashes that I was just like, what the fuck? Or maybe it was in the not that one, but there was a Bloody Sunday maybe. Maybe it was that movie. I don't know. It was some movie I saw. It was Irish film, I'm sure, and I was just like, I can't understand what the fuck they're saying. I give up. So, and I'm not so bothered by those because I can usually pick up a word or two. I really hate the movies where you really need it's in a foreign language, and you got the subtitles, and the subtitles are all white. There's no outline around them. So when you get a bright scene, and pray to God that it's not against a white couch or something, you can't see the subtitles at all.
I like The White Ribbon, which was shot in black and white with white subtitles.
Yes. Which I can use. That movie was actually pretty good. I don't know. I can't really recall having trouble with the subtitles there, but I know I saw some movie where they were against a white wall or something, and you could not see the subtitles except for a few words standing out against the people who were in the scene. But
yeah, it happens every once in a while.
Yeah. So anyway, let's see what time we got here.
Time for one more question.
Go ahead. Take one more.
All right. J Rarts 1 asks, what are your thoughts on Netflix-like services replacing rental stores?
I'm a lazy bastard, so I think it's great.
Yeah, well, that's actually been on my mind a lot this weekend. I've tweeted about it a couple times because a bunch of the Hollywood videos here in town are closing.
They're close to bankruptcy.
Yeah, and the thing is the stores that are closing, most of them are stores I worked at like 10 years ago. And so everybody is going to clean out these stores that I used to work at, and they're all coming back with like 30 DVDs for $40 and getting these incredible deals, and they're all picking images of the stacks of DVDs they bought, and I'm just like, Jesus, man. But I have so many mixed emotions about it because I love video stores. I love what they are. I loved working at them for so long. It was a fun career that I was ready to get the fuck out of. But I really enjoyed it. It's where I cut my teeth, and these stores played a large part of my life. But by the same token, it's done with. I mean, we're gonna have a generation here that very shortly that doesn't even know what a video store is, and for good reason, because we've just evolved technologically to the point that we don't need them anymore, and they're not going to understand. They're like, really? When you were kids, you had to drive to a store and look for a physical copy of the movie, and if they didn't have it,
Sonny.
you didn't get to watch it. Like, what if you wanted to watch this movie now? You couldn't just stream it? And it's like, no, you couldn't stream it. Well, why not? Because you couldn't stream it.
You complain about your download times. We had to actually drive to the theater. Well, I think that is great because, look, things change. Business models change. Structure changes. And it makes you nostalgic. I'd have great memories of video stores, too. But the other side of it is that video stores still cost you a little bit more money to rent something, and you still got a limited amount of time to take it back. You don't have the freedom that you do with a downloading service like Netflix. And I think that this is something that is going to force movie studios to embrace this technology even more. I mean, everybody, just like the music industry, the movie theaters, and not theaters, but I guess theaters, the movie industry as a whole, they're still a little worried about downloading. And I know they've been pirated, and it's something that's been on their mind. I don't blame them for that, but it's at the point now where it's common sense to accept that this is the way things are going to go. And with the closing of something like Blockbuster Video, it's just a very big eye-opener of where things are going. So, yeah, it's time to embrace it and accept that this is how it's going to be. And I think it's a wonderful thing for people to be able to stay at home, be able to keep a movie as long as they want to, or download it conveniently to their televisions or their laptops or their PS3s or whatever. It's exciting to me. I'm excited to see where this is going to go. That's life. That's technology. That's growth. So,
indeed,
yeah. But all right, man. I think we covered it all. I think the world's a much better place since we had this podcast.
I think we solved all the world's problems in this one podcast. I'm wondering what's going to happen, after that 2-hour segment where we solved all the world problems gets edited back in and makes this the 3-hour podcast. But until that time, once we do finally get clearance to solve all the world's problems, I think this will be an all right podcast.
Yes, Carlisle, at least for an hour on Sunday nights, the world is safe. As we get off here, I know it's going to go back into disarray, but we will be back next time.
Keeping the safe for 1 hour on Sunday nights.
All right. Good night, everybody.